Morning. This is the Bible reading for Section 8, Lesson 4. Today we're reading Deuteronomy 3 through 5 and Psalm 46. Then we turned and went up the road toward Bashan, and at Edreel, Og, king of Bashan, with all his people, came out to meet us in battle. And the Lord said to me, "Do not fear him, for I have handed him over to you, him and all his people and his land. And you shall do to him just as you did to Sihon, the king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon." So the Lord your God also handed over Og, king of Bashan, and all his people into our hand, and we struck him until no survivor was left. We captured all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we did not take from them, 60 cities, the whole region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these cities were fortified and unassailable, with their high walls, gates, and bars. In addition, there were a very great number of unwalled villages. We utterly destroyed them, just as we did to Sihon, the king of Heshbon, utterly destroying every city, the men, the women, and children. But we took all the cattle and the spoil of the cities as plunder for ourselves. So we took the land at that time from the hands of the two kings, Sihon and Og, of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan, from the valley of Arnon to Mount Hermon. The Sidonians call Mount Hermon Syrian, and the Amorites call it Sinir. All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, as far as Salecha and Idrea, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the giants known as the Rephaim. Behold, his bed frame was a bed frame of iron. Is it not in Rabbah of the Ammonites? It was 9 cubits, 12 feet long, and 4 cubits, 6 feet wide, using the cubit of a man, the forearm to the end of the middle finger. So we took possession of this land, and at that time I gave the territory from Aroer, which is by the valley of the Arnon, along with half of the hill country of Gilead and its cities, to the Reubenites and to the Gadites. The rest of Gilead and all of Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh, that is, all the region of Argob, concerning all Bashan. It is called the land of Rephaim. Jair, the son, descendant of Manasseh, took all the region of Argob as far as the border of the Gershites and the Maccathites, that is, Bashan, and called it after his own name, Havath, the villages of Jair, as it is called to this day. I gave Gilead and to Machir of Manasseh. To the Reubenites and Gadites I gave the territory from Gilead as far as the valley of Arnon, with the middle of the valley as a boundary, and as far as the Jabbok river, the boundary of the sons of Ammon. The Arabia also with the Jordan as its boundary, from Chinnereth, the Sea of Galilee, as far as the Sea of the Arabah, the Salt Sea, Dead Sea, at the foot of the slopes of Pisgah on the east. Then I commanded you, Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh at this time, saying, "The Lord your God has given you this land to possess. All you who are brave men shall cross over the Jordan, armed before your brothers, the sons of Israel. But your wives and your children and your cattle, I know that you have much livestock, shall remain in your cities which I have given you, until the Lord gives rest to your fellow countrymen as he has to you. And they also possess the land which the Lord your God has given them beyond the Jordan. Then each of you may return to the land possession which I have given you." I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, "Your eyes have seen everything that the Lord your God has done to these two kings, Sihon and Og. So the Lord shall do the same to all the kingdoms into which you are about to cross. Do not fear them, for it is the Lord your God who is fighting for you." Then I pleaded with the Lord at that time for his favor, saying, "O Lord God, you have only begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do such works and mighty acts, miracles as yours? I pray, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan, that good hill country with Hermon and Lebanon." But the Lord was angry with me because of you and your rebellion at Meribah, and would not listen to me. And the Lord said to me, "Enough, speak to me no longer about this matter. Go up to the top of Mount Pisgah, and raise your eyes towards the west and north and south and east, and see it with your eyes, for you shall not cross this Jordan." But command Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, For he shall go across and lead his people, and he will give them the land which you see as an inheritance. So we stayed in the valley opposite Beth Peor. Deuteronomy 4. Now, O Israel, listen and pay attention to the statutes and judgments, God's legal decisions, which I am teaching you to do, so that you may live and go in and take possession of the land which the Lord, your God of your fathers, is giving you. You shall not add to the word which I am commanding you, nor take away from it, so that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did at Baal Peor. For all the men who followed and participated in the worship of Baal of Peor, the Lord your God destroyed them from among you. But you who held tightly to the Lord your God are alive today, every one of you. Look, I have taught you statutes and judgments, just as the Lord my God has commanded me, so that you may do them in the land which you are entering to possess. So keep and do them, for that is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the peoples, who will hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what great nation is there that has a God so near to it as the Lord our God is to us whenever we call on him? Or what great nation has statutes and judgments so righteous, upright, just as this whole law which I am placing before you today? Only pay attention and watch yourselves closely, so that you do not forget the things which your eyes have seen, and they do not depart from your heart all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your grandchildren, impressing these things on their mind and penetrating their hearts with these truths, especially the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, Mount Sinai, when the Lord said to me, assemble the people to me, and I will let them hear my words, so that they may learn to fear me with awe-filled reverence and profound respect all the days they live on the land, and so that they may teach their children. You approached and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the very heart of the heavens, darkness, clouds, and thick gloom. Then the Lord spoke to you from the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the words, but you saw no form. There was only a voice. So he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to follow, the 10 Commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. The Lord commanded me at the time to teach you the statutes and judgments, so that you might do them in the land which you are going over to possess. So you may pay attention and watch yourselves carefully, for you did not see any form of God on the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb from the midst of the fire, so that you do not act corruptly and make for yourselves a carved or sculpted image to worship, in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, or any winged bird that flies in the sky, the likeness of anything that crawls on the ground, or of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And beware that you do not raise your eyes toward heaven and see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the host of heaven, and let yourselves be led astray and worship them and serve them, mere created bodies which the Lord your God has allotted to serve and benefit all the peoples under the whole heaven. But the Lord has taken you and brought you out of the iron smelting furnace out of Egypt, to be a people for his own possession, as you are this day. Now the Lord was angry with me at the waters of Meribah because of you, and he swore an oath that I would not cross the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. For I am going to die in this land. I am not going to cross the Jordan. But you shall cross over and take possession of this good land. So be on your guard and watch yourselves, so that you do not forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he has made with you, and make for yourselves a carved or sculpted image in the form of anything which the Lord your God has forbidden you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire. He is a jealous and passionate God, demanding what is rightfully and uniquely his. When you become the father of children and grandchildren and have grown old in the land, then if you corrupt yourselves by making a carved or sculpted image in the form of anything for the purpose of worship, and do evil things in the sight of the Lord your God, provoking him. I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you today, that you will soon utterly perish from the land which you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You shall not live long on it, but will be utterly destroyed. The Lord will scatter and disperse you among the peoples, pagan nations, and you will be left few in number among the nations where the Lord drives you. And there you will serve false and foreign gods, and the work of human hands, lifeless images of wood and stone, which neither can see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell the offerings of food given to them. But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search for him with all your heart and with all your soul. When you are in distress and tribulation, and all these things come on you in the latter days, you will return to the Lord your God and listen to his voice. For the Lord your God is a merciful and compassionate God. He will not fail you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant with you, with your fathers, which he swore to them. Indeed, ask now about the days that are past, those days which were before you, since the day that God created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other, has anything been done like this great thing, or has anything been heard like it? Did any people ever hear the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire as you heard and still live? Or has any man-made God ever tried to go and take for himself a nation from within another nation by trials, by signs and wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by an outstretched arm, and by great terrors, as the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? It was shown to you so that you might have personal knowledge and comprehend that the Lord is God. There is no other beside him. Out of the heavens he let you hear his voice to discipline and admonish you, and on earth he let you see his great fire, and you heard his words from the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, he chose their descendants who followed them, and brought you from Egypt with his presence, with his great and awesome power, dispossessing and driving out from before you nations that were greater and mightier than you, to bring you in, to give you their lands as an inheritance, as it is this day. Therefore know and understand today, and take it to your heart, that the Lord your God, that the Lord is God in the heavens above and on the earth below. There is no other. So you shall keep his statutes and his commandments, which I am commanding you today, so that it may go well with you and with your children after you, and so you may live long on the land, which is the Lord your God is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities of refuge beyond the Jordan, towards the rising of the sun eastward, so that someone who committed manslaughter could flee there, that is, a person who killed his neighbor unintentionally and without previously having hostility toward him, and that by escaping to one of these cities he might claim the right of asylum and save his life. Bezer in the wilderness of the plateau for the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. This is the law which Moses placed before the sons of Israel. These are the testimonies, legal provisions, and the statutes and judgments which Moses spoke to the sons of Israel when they came out of Egypt, beyond the Jordan in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon, whom Moses and the sons of Israel defeated when they came from Egypt. They took possession of his land, and the land of Og king of Bashan, the 2 kings of the Amorites, who reigned across the Jordan to the east, from Aroer, which is on the edge of the valley, from the river Harnon, as far as Mount Sion, that is, Hermon, with all the Arabah, desert lowlands, across the Jordan to the east, even as far as the sea of Arabah, the Dead Sea, at the foot of the slopes of Pisgah. Deuteronomy 5. Then Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments, legal decisions, which I am speaking today in your hearing, so that you may learn them and observe them carefully. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Horeb. The Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, all of us who are alive here today. The Lord spoke with you face to face at the mountain from the midst of the fire. I was standing between the Lord and you at that time, to declare to you the word of the Lord. For you were afraid because of the fire, and did not go up to the mountain. He said, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol, as an object to worship, or any likeness for a manifestation of what is in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters under the earth. You shall not worship them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous and passionate God, demanding what is rightfully and uniquely mine, visiting, avenging the iniquity, sin, guilt of the fathers on the children, that is, calling the children to account for the sins of their fathers, to the 3rd and the 4th generations of those who hate me, but showing graciousness and loving kindness to thousands of generations of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, that is, irreverently, in false affirmations, or in ways that impugn the character of God. For the Lord will not hold guiltless, nor leave unpunished the one who takes his name in vain, disregarding its reverence and its power. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, set apart, dedicated to God, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath, a day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter or your male servant or your female servant or your ox or your donkey or any of your livestock or the stranger who stays inside your city gates, so that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. You shall remember with thoughtful consideration concern, that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord your God brought you up out of there with a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God has commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. Honor, respect, obey, care for your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, so that your days on the earth may be prolonged, and so that it may go well with you in the land which the Lord your God gives you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony, that is, lie, withhold, or manipulate the truth against your neighbor, any person. You shall not covet, that is, desire and seek to acquire your neighbor's wife, nor desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male servant, or his female servant, his ox or his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. The Lord spoke these words with a great voice to all your assembly at the mountain in the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness, and he added no more. He wrote these commandments on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me. And when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, you approached me, all the leaders, heads of your tribes, and your elders, and you said, Behold, the Lord your God has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. We have seen today that God speaks with man, and yet he still lives. Now then, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any longer, then we will die. For who is there of all flesh, mankind, who has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the midst of the fire, as we have and lived? You, Moses, go near and listen to everything the Lord our God says. Then speak to us everything that the Lord our God speaks to you, and we will listen and do it. The Lord heard your words when you spoke to me, and the Lord said to me, I have heard the words of this people which they have spoken to you. They have done well in all they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them, that they would fear and worship me with awe-filled reverence and profound respect, and keep all my commandments always, so that it may go well with them and with their children forever. Go and say to them, Return to your tents. But as for you, stand here by me, and I will tell you all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which you shall teach them, so that they may obey them in the land which I give them to possess. Therefore you shall pay attention and be careful to do it, just as the Lord your God has commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right or to the left, deviating from my commandments. You shall walk, that is, live each and every day in all the ways which the Lord your God has commanded you, so that you may live, and so that it may be well with you, and so that you may live long in the land which you will possess. Psalms 46. God is our refuge and strength, mighty and impenetrable, a very present and well-proved help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, and though the mountains be shaken and slip into the heart of the seas, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its roaring. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy dwelling places of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, his city. She will not be moved. God will help her when the morning dawns. The nations made an uproar, the kingdoms tottered and were moved. He raised his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold, our refuge, our high tower. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who has brought desolations and wonders on the earth. He makes wars to cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow into pieces and snaps the spear in two. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know, recognize and understand that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our stronghold, our refuge, our high tower.